Hello, welcome to vegan vlog number 13, I believe. I am just going to continue talking about some of the things I touched on before in terms of vegan non-food items. Just some things that have come up in the past few weeks. For example, I found out that a lot of tires, car tires and bike tires, are made with animal-derived stearic acid. So I had to replace my truck tires anyway, and I went with Michelin because, according to them, they don't use any animal-derived products. So good news if you need to replace your tires or whatever. Look for a company that doesn't use those products. Of course, because tires are rubber products, plastic products, this animal-derived stearic acid can be in a lot of other plastic products too, so it's really hard to tell. But people have been doing research and putting it on the internet to show people what's vegan-friendly and what's not. So just Google it, I guess. The other thing I was thinking about is medications. Another thing I was thinking about is medications. I have a chronic inflammatory bowel disease, and lately it's been acting up. It's kind of stress-related. But I researched a couple of years ago and found out basically that a lot of these products and companies do test on animals. So it's kind of a conundrum what to do, but basically the last time I had a flare-up, I was hospitalized, and they and I had been off of the medication for about a year, and they said that it had spread, and they used all these scare tactics on me, but basically that this is a disease that I could die from if I don't treat it. So there's sort of like a balance you have to strike. You can't always effectively boycott anything that has anything to do with animal exploitation. In fact, it's probably better if you keep yourself healthy so you can more effectively advocate for animals. That's just my thought on it, and write to those companies and let them know how you feel about the issues. Yeah. So I know that may sound kind of hypocritical, but that's just the way I think of it. I could be a martyr and let myself die, but what impact would that really have? I don't know. That's kind of dramatic, but that's the extreme that you could take it. So, and in the beginning, I stopped eating dairy about 11 years ago for health reasons, and then went vegetarian a few years later, also for health reasons. And I noticed that I felt a lot better, that my bowel problems were not as severe. Doctors will tell you that it has nothing to do with diet. There's not really anything you can do, but it's not true. You need to find out what works for you. So I know a lot of people suffer with IBS and IBD, and they don't necessarily talk about it. And because it's kind of an embarrassing thing to talk about. But it does affect millions of Americans, and one of the best things you have to do is self-care, taking care of your diet and taking care of yourself. So I just wanted to share that because I know I said in my first vlog that I would talk about that a little bit, but it is pretty personal. If you have any questions about colitis or Crohn's and a vegan diet, let me know. One of the challenges I'm having right now is that because I am having a flare-up, I'm supposed to be on low fiber, and obviously a vegan diet, a plant-based diet, is really fiber-heavy, so I'm drinking a lot of smoothies with protein powder and applesauce, soy yogurt, rice, stuff like that. It's not necessarily really nutritionally dense, but I know it's only temporary, so that's what I'm doing. Because if you're eating a normal, varied vegan diet, you're going to eat a lot of fiber, which is usually really good for bowel health. But when it's really inflamed and hurting, it's not so good. It's better to just let it rest a little bit. Another thing you can do is get tested for food allergies. There's a pretty comprehensive blood test you can get called the ELISA test, ELISA, and you can ask your doctor for it. And it actually comes and it shows you varying degrees of sensitivity. So I found out when I did that I have a soy sensitivity. I'm sensitive to peanuts and some other legumes, so that was kind of shocking for me as a vegan. And I did try to cut down on all those things. Actually, I don't eat peanuts at all anymore. And soy I cut out for about 3 months, and then I started gradually eating it again, and I don't find that it bothers me anymore. So these are all kind of proactive things you can do, like nutritional science is really a pretty new thing, and most MDs don't really know that much about nutrition. So you kind of have to do trial and error with yourself. Everybody is different, and you just have to find out what works for you. But generally, eating more fiber, eating a plant-based diet, and making sure you get all of your essential fatty acids. I take a supplement for that, and B12, take a supplement for that, and vitamin D, which is another one that most people are lacking in, vegans and non-vegans alike. But you can get a vegan version of it. Make sure that you get a vegan version of it, because it's usually derived from like shellfish or something. So same with the essential fatty acids. You don't have to do the fish oil. In fact, I would say don't do fish oil, because there's just so much that goes along with that, environmental destruction and everything. You can have a pretty complete mix of coconut oil, sunflower oil, and flax oil and other oils, and you'll get your fatty acids from there. But it's really important. Also, B12 is one of those things that you just kind of have to take. You won't notice if you're low on it. If you're really low on it, you will have symptoms that they say are irreversible, like nerve damage and eye damage and stuff. So it's better to just be preventative and just take it, because it's not going to hurt you, right? So I guess I kind of went off on a tangent about nutrition, but that's a really important thing, I think, for vegans. A lot of people who get into it not necessarily for health reasons, or who are not necessarily health-minded, might not realize why they don't feel as good as they think they should on the diet. And there's just so many factors that go into your well-being, making sure that you exercise enough, making sure that you rest enough, watching your intake of caffeine and other stimulants, and I would say if you're newly vegan or vegetarian, don't right away go to, I'm not getting enough protein, that's why I'm feeling tired. It's going to take your body a little while to adjust, especially since you're probably eating more carbs, but that's usually, like, protein deficiency is really, really rare. It's usually only see it in people who are severely anorexic. For a 120-pound woman, such as myself, you need about 45 to 50 grams of protein a day, which is pretty easy to get if you eat beans. Even if you look at like whole grain bread, it's usually like 5 grams of protein per slice. So you'd be surprised if you keep track of what you actually eat in a day, and then exactly how much you're eating. And you can start looking at other factors like nutrition or hormone insufficiency, other things like that. I recommend going to a doctor of regenerative medicine or integrative medicine. They can help you get those hormone tests. So there's really a lot you can do to be proactive about your health. And I would say if you really want to be committed to eating a plant-based diet, you have to take into account everything that is part of your health and not just focus on the food, because the food is really just a small piece of the puzzle. And this can be an opening for you to really take better care of yourself. And so that's my 2 cents for today. If you have any questions, as usual, please post in the comments and rate my video, subscribe. Yay! Oh yeah, I have one other little piece of news. My last vlog I mentioned Matthew. Matthew and I don't know if you can see this, are getting married. Yay! In 2012. So I'm very happy about that. Okay. Ta-ta.